Another rant. I'm sorry, but I don't care if you're black, white, purple, green, or orange. I won't vote for you if you don't get the policies and the problems. And let's just face it, the Democrats do. First of all, abortion rights is economic rights. If you can't afford to have a baby and you put it up for adoption, then it is the government who will pay for the raising of that baby, putting a strain on the deficit. If they don't put it up for adoption, it is that family who has the strain on their economic well-being to raise that baby. Okay? Now, if a mother finds out she's pregnant in the first trimester, she should have the right to think about her economic well-being and her future on whether or not she wants to have that baby. I mean, face it, most miscarriages happen in the first trimester. Raise your hand if you're going to sue God for an abortion. Secondly, gun rights is connected to economic rights. As the one guy said, take the gun out of hand and put the check into the hand, you're going to lower criminal activity. So gun rights and criminal activity all go together. And the economy, it's all together. You're going to have more crime if people can't afford to live. Last part of that, fuel, energy rights, is connected to the economic system. If you are counting on your energy sources from a foreign country or from a deplenishing resource, the price of that energy is going to continue to go up. The more limited that resource is, you're going to lose jobs. The more limited that resource is. If you invest on things like solar energy, if you invest in electric cars, if you invest in better battery systems, if you invest in making sure that there's power areas for your car to plug into, you're creating more jobs. That guy that got bumped off that oil rig because the well went dried up, he's now going to be able to get into a job building windmills or solar panels or putting in charging stations for the car. So you're not losing jobs when you're going to a more sustainable energy. In fact, you're greatly increasing the jobs because they are still researching to this day better ways to make energy storage through batteries. Meaning they're going to need more scientists. They're going to need more engineers. They're going to need more manufacturers of these components. They're going to need more research into different kinds of materials to make these batteries. And before they need that, they're going to need more nickel, copper, and and I think it's cobalt. They're going to need more of that. And they're either going to have to figure out through science how they can make it out of things that have already been made without mining, or how to make something that replaces those things and reproduce it in a factory, giving more people jobs. Healthcare is economic, is connected to the economy. People can't afford to pay their doctor bills. If they can't afford to pay for their medication, they're going to go without food. They're going to be out on the street. They're going to need help from welfare and other things, which becomes not only an economic strain on the family, it also becomes an economic strain on the government. You people want to be out there complaining about welfare, but you don't want to put a cap on the amount of profits that boss who is paying his worker minimum wage, so that worker has to get welfare. You don't want to put a cap on his profits and make it so that he has to pay his workers a fair wage. Then you better expect his workers are going to be on welfare. Or do you just expect that the workers stay the worker and they don't get to have children? Let's give it all to the rich. Let's give the rich the big tax break. Let's give the rich the big subsidies. Screw the middle class and the poor. The only thing they need to do is step into their factories and do them jobs. And if they can't live off of the income they make doing those jobs, tough shit. Because we're going to give it all to the rich. And then who's going to be the next generation to take over those jobs in the factory? Gotta have children born to do that. Not every woman in this world is having an abortion. If you don't want your workers to be able to raise a family, then you don't want workers. And go straight up on this. Trump's dad was poor at one point in time, or his granddad. How did he get rich? And how did his company get so big if he didn't employ people down below on the ladder? How did that person who makes these glasses get rich off of making these glasses and selling them? If he didn't have somebody working in a factory at minimum wage making these glasses that may have cost $1 to make, but that guy that sold them to you is getting $200 or $300 for them glasses. How is that? It doesn't matter how much you increase a person's income if you do not put a cap on how much those that employ that person can make in a profit. I'm not saying that they can't make a good profit. I'm saying they can't make a ridiculous profit. And they can't make a profit when their profit is hurting their workers. If you can't pay your workers a fair wage and still make a decent profit, then get the hell out of business because you're doing something wrong. If you're too concerned with how many yachts and how many cars and how many whatever else not you can buy and how many years you can go on vacation before you even have to step your foot into your office, then you're not concerned about the fair wages of your workers who made you rich. Because without those workers, you wouldn't have that yacht. And if you keep on raising the prices of your products every time you're forced to fairly raise the wages of your workers so that they can live off of what they make as a worker, if you can't do that, then why should the workers even work for you? Because apparently you care more about that year-long freaking vacation and that 50th yacht you just bought than you do about your workers. Hell, you care more about that 6-month-long vacation you're taking and that first yacht you bought off of 1 year's worth of freaking profits. Get it straight, people. Corporations aren't having it that hard. They didn't even have it that hard during the pandemic. But the Republicans want to give them more. These people were making 35 trillion, 40 trillion in profit, or billion, I don't know which. It's far more than what most people could spend in a lifetime. And they're making it in profits. While the people out there who are making them products that made them rich and that they keep hiking the price on are having to get food stamps and be put on welfare. The wage gap today is ridiculous. Back in the day, I think even in the 60s and the 50s, the father could go out and work. And if they worked in a job like a factory, they were making enough money to be able to feed themselves and at least 2 children and own a car and pay their bills. Nowadays, a father and a mother have to have one job, and then either the father or mother have to have a second part-time job to barely pay the rent, to have to be on food stamps to feed their children, and to constantly have to decide between medical treatment or their heating bill. Now, how ridiculous is that? How fucking ridiculous is that? You guys keep on believing the Republican drivel and drill with their trickle-down bullshit. Oh, we gotta give the corporations and the rich more tax breaks, and then they'll help the poor and the middle class even more. They'll raise the wages. No, they won't. They won't until they're forced to. And once they're forced to, they will then raise the cost of their product to make sure they get that profit, that record high profit they want. And then next year, without giving their workers 1 cent in a wage increase, they'll raise the price of their product again. Why? Because they can. They don't care. Because if they cared, they would be down on that floor of the factory and meeting the people working for them. They would make friends with them and be invited to their home for a meal to see how well that family can eat. But they don't care. The only thing they care about is that record profit. And the only thing the Republicans care about is catering to them to get the record profit thing. And the only thing the Republicans care to do to help the economy is to keep on giving to the rich more tax breaks, more subsidies, and cut programs to those who are paying the most in taxes. They want to cut Social Security, a program that your grandparents, your parents, and you have paid most of your life into. A program where a large percentage of the population has paid into and never drew out from because they died before retirement age, like my brother and my biological father. A program that when a migrant worker, whether they are on a legal ID or an illegal ID, and have a Social Security number, where they have to pay in to that program, but at retirement age, can't withdraw out of it for retirement. A program where the medical is not offered to the migrants. So when they age, not only do they have to pay for their own retirement, they have to pay for their own medical. Programs that when a migrant parent's child goes out and goes to college, they can't apply for Pell Grants. They've got to pay for that college with their own money, whether or not they're making enough. But you want to sit there and allow the Republicans to say, let's cut this program, let's cut that program, let's cut. When the middle class and the working poor are paying in the majority percentage of their income to taxes to pay for those programs, while many of these corporations are skating by and paying nothing. But you better believe some of their children are going to be the ones taking, and their family members are going to be the ones taking advantage of programs they're going to receive because they're rich, and subsidies they will receive because they're rich. Those welfare programs, they have no problem with. Let's not holler to cut them. Let's just cut the ones that the poor and the middle class need. Because all you really care about is the rich. Now, if you want to straighten this country out and do as has been done time and time again, when a Democrat gets in office, they decrease the deficit and start working on helping the middle class and the poor. And because the Republican policies prior to that increased the deficit and brought you closer to a recession, so that the first year of the Democrats' office, even the first 2 years of his office, is packed with the policy from that president. You want to put them in charge of your economics again. 17 times we've been in a recession in the United States of America. 13 times has been under a Republican leadership. You're saying, oh, but there aren't no bills getting passed in Congress and blah, 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 blah. And you're not looking at it. First of all, when Trump was in office, the reason why he was even able to pass that big tax break for the rich and trickle down the percentage the middle class and the poor got was because he had a filibuster-proof House and Senate. He had all the power. Does Biden have that? No, he doesn't. So what is happening? Every bill that the Democrats try to put forward, time and time again, gets filibustered by the Republicans. And many of those bills the Republicans can secretly say they agree with. They liked it, but they wouldn't vote on it because it was under a Democratic president. Yet, some of the good bills the Republicans in Senate brought forward that the Democrats liked, they still voted on them. What the hell? Mitch McConnell and the rest of the Republicans were not joking when the first time they made the statement that we will do everything possible to make that president a failed president. And they have made that their central mantra. They don't care who they have to hurt. They don't care what they have to do. The insurrection should have been proof of that. Their need to want to steal the majority, your vote, the majority of you who voted, they wanted to steal your vote take it away from you, tell you it doesn't matter. And every candidate out there who says that they will reverse the election are telling you your vote does not matter. All that matters is they stay in power. The minority vote is what didn't matter. Those that lost. They don't get to take your vote away the way they're trying to. Those that won. They get to keep that vote. And any politician out there hollering about how they would reverse the election and replace Trump into office are trying to rob you of your vote. If you're now going to be willing to vote for them people, you're idiots. You're full on 100% idiots. And you Republicans who are willing to do that, remember, during the Biden-Trump election, it may have been Biden that won, and so now you've got sour grapes. The next time, it may be the candidate you want that wins. And how will you feel when the losing party stands up and hollers they want to overturn your election after they take power in Congress during a midterm? I don't give a shit about who you felt should won the election. Don't give a shit. 2016, I felt that Hillary should have won the election because she got the majority vote. But Trump won it. He was not my president, but he was the president of the United States. Even if it was just in placeholding, he still was the president. And he still had a legal right to do the duties of the presidential office. Whether or not he did them was another story. But he had a right and an obligation to do it. And he did it. And he screwed a lot of people when he did it. And you rather be out there listening to the lies being told than going back and looking up the facts. He lied to you about COVID and allowed it to spread like wildfire through this nation to where he had to shut the country down. Trump did that. Trump shut the country down. Not Biden. Trump. Due to the pandemic he mishandled. But you'll believe him on his bullcrap. Go look up the Bob Woodward audio tapes on interviews he'd done with Trump. Trump knew what was coming before it came and did nothing about it. And it wasn't because he didn't want to start a panic. It was because he didn't want the numbers to mess up his chances at re-election. He cared more about himself than he did the number of people who were dying. So think about that for a minute. And you want another Republican who kowtows to Trump and repeats his lies in office? How stupid are you?